Everything has changed for the NHL with the 2025 offer sheet compensations being released, and this is going to have a major impact on the offseason of the New York Islanders because they have several key players who could be offer sheeted this summer. We're going to break it all down on this episode of Islanders Digest, but before we do that, we are now just 100 subscribers away from our goal of 500 subscribers. So if you're an Islander fan and you have not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? If you want more Islanders news, updates, all that fun stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now, for those of you who do not know what an offer sheet is, basically when a player is an RFA, their rights are owned by the team they are currently playing with, but if they've played 3 years with that team, they are eligible for an offer sheet in which another team can offer them something, offer them a contract, and if they accept it, their team has a chance to match that contract, and if they don't match it, they get kicks back in compensation. We're going to go through it in more detail in just a bit because those numbers go up as the salary cap goes up, but interestingly enough, the numbers have just been released today. Stefan Rosser was posting about it, and this is definitely worth noting because Noah Dobson is a prime candidate to get offer sheeted this summer. As we know, there is still no contract between the Islanders and Noah Dobson. There's still uncertainty on what the Islanders are going to do with Noah Dobson. Frankly, until they hire a GM, there's going to continue to be uncertainty. And now there's more pressure being added because, as we know, once July 1st hits, offer sheets can be handed out. Now, I do want to note, as Stefan Rosner has noted, in order for an offer sheet to take place, a player has to actually sign it. You can't just offer the player a ton of money and then there has to be a decision. They have to agree to sign that offer sheet before the system kicks in place. And then the team would have a choice. The Islanders have a choice to either match an offer sheet for Noah Dobson or allow him to go for those picks. We're going to talk about those picks in 1 second. But this just shows, this is one of the reasons why it's so important the Islanders get this GM hire out of the way as soon as possible, because with so many players being RFAs this year who are eligible for offer sheets, you're not going to want all these players to not have contracts by free agency because that's when teams can really take advantage of you. Now, fortunately, the Islanders do have a lot of cap space, as we're going to talk about later on in this video. So on the bright side, if they do have offer sheets, they can still easily match them, but you don't want to be in a situation where other teams are targeting you because you have so many guys and you really don't know what to do with each of them and you're trying to figure it out on July 1st. You want to get that taken care of in advance because even if you are able to keep a player by matching an offer sheet, a lot of times those contracts are not the contract you would have signed with those players. They're a lot more expensive, and when you end up getting a pick instead, a lot of time it's not for full value. As we're going to talk about, talking about this year's offer sheet compensations, and also talk about how this is really important for the NHL and how the Islanders can really take advantage of this, because as we know, the cap is going up $10 million this offseason, an insane jump after a long time with the cap being stagnant. It's going up $10 million this year, and then it's going $10 million up the next year and the year after that. So the cap is going to look really different in 3 years. And frankly, as we take a quick look here, these are the numbers for this year's offer sheet compensation. And the year before, they're really not that different. Yes, it's a few thousand more each single year. At the last year, like the maximum offer sheet of 11.4, now that's 11.7. But really, we're only talking about $300,000. And while, yeah, that is a lot of money, in terms of offer sheets, it really isn't the rise that I think a lot of people are expecting, especially with the cap going up another $10 million next season and the year after that. It seems like these offer sheet numbers are solely based on the salary cap this season. So people were already talking about this as being the summer of offer sheets. I think we're going to get even more offer sheets now that the numbers are so comparable to the year before. And now I really want to focus on these compensations because one thing we do have to know, I know a lot of times when we're talking about offer sheets, I know I'm not really talking right now about the Islanders offer sheeting players. I know that's really exciting, this idea of the Islanders stealing young talent. There's a problem. There's a reason why I have not really been focusing on offer sheets on this channel. It's not just because they're unlikely to happen, because a lot of people around the NHL have said a lot more are going to happen this year. The issue with offer sheets is the compensation required. These are all the draft picks in the next draft, and in the case of the 4 first-round picks and 2 first-round picks, they're in back-to-back years. There's no wiggle room with those picks. You either have them or you don't. And in the case of the Islanders, they are missing a really key pick that's going to make it really difficult for them to gain players in an offer sheet, and that is they are missing their second-round pick next season. It's really the only pick they're missing, and frankly, if they really wanted to do offer sheets, that pick currently belongs to Chicago. I'm sure Chicago would be willing to do business, but as of right now, the Islanders do not have that pick, so we can't really talk about them doing an offer sheet. For example, the really key value, I think the value you get with offer sheets, this is one of the ones that St. Louis used this year, so it's effective. The ones that are from 2.3 to 4.6, they don't have that one. In addition, they can't do the first round pick, second round pick, and third round pick. And frankly, when we're talking about the Islanders, although they technically could either do 4 first-round picks, or you can't do the 2 first, 1 second because they don't have that second. But when it comes to the ones where it's like a first and a third, technically they could do it, but considering where the Islanders roster currently is, this is likely not going to be a playoff team, and with some really high-end talent in the draft next season, it's really unlikely the Islanders are going to gamble their first-round pick at all, because even though it might not be the highest chance, depending on what they do this offseason, there's a chance that pick can become either a first overall pick, and even if not, if that pick is in the top 10 in next year's loaded draft, you wouldn't want to lose that in an offer sheet unless you're getting an absolute lights-out player, and in this case, it just does not make sense. What you really got to focus on when it comes to the Islanders is the players they can lose, and one of those key players, as Stefan Rosner has pointed out, is Noah Dobson. We're going to take a quick look at the Islanders' contracts. Noah Dobson making $4 million this season. He's due for a significant raise, even though he did not have the best season. Another player we have to talk about in just a little bit is Alex Romanov is also, I think, a sleeper candidate to get offer sheeted. Still, again, he would have to sign that offer sheet, and we have gotten no indication that either Dobson, Romanov, or Holmstrom, we were also going to mention Holmstrom as another player who can get offer sheeted. I believe off the top of my head that Maxim Sipakov is ineligible to sign an offer sheet. I think he has to play a certain amount of years in the NHL that he has not hit. Even though he's older, being that he played in Russia, I don't think he can sign an offer sheet. But I'm not really sure how those KHL RFA situations work. It's a little different than traditional situations. Other players, I guess, who could sign offer sheets are Adam Boqvist and Peronovich, although that would be on the low end of the offer sheet and really would not be a concern. If anything, it's a good chance players like those would just not even make that amount of money. It's probably just whether or not the Islanders qualify them, so it's not worth talking about. But with players like Noah Dobson, this is the really interesting case, and it's one of the things that makes trading Noah Dobson a bit more complicated. We talked about in previous videos what value Noah Dobson could get from a trade. And one of the issues when it comes to trading Noah Dobson is a team who's interested in Noah Dobson, especially if they have a lot of cap space, they might just look at this compensation and decide they'd rather offer sheet Noah Dobson. Now, one thing I will say is actually really positive for the New York Islanders situation is these numbers, while they did go up from last season, as we talked about before, they did not go up a crazy amount, because if they did go up a crazy amount, and the compensation for, say, a first, second round, and third round pick went as high as like $8.5 million or something, so that therefore the one below that, where it's just a first and a third, you can get for that amount of money, then it would be a really big problem when it comes to Noah Dobson. One thing you got to keep in mind with these offer sheets is it's based on, there's a lot of math involved, so it's based on the contract at most being an average 5 years. If you sign the player to 6, 7, or 8 seasons, then you have to divide it by 5, so it ends up going into that higher percentile. So realistically, when it comes to Noah Dobson, if he is getting offer sheeted, it's going to be either in that over $7 million to $9.3 million range, or it's that $9 to $11 million range. You're either looking at a first, second, or third round pick, or 2 firsts, 1 second, and 1 third. I think to offer sheet Noah Dobson, likely it would take the 2 firsts, 1 second, and 1 third. Realistically, I think anything under $9 million, I know Islander fans do not want to give Noah Dobson $9 million, but if it comes to an offer sheet situation, I think anything under $9 million, the Islanders sign it without even thinking to keep Noah Dobson, because frankly, as we're going to talk about in a second, Noah Dobson is worth a lot more than a first, second, and third round pick. I know people don't really love the value of Dobson. People have complained about the way he's played on the ice, and I agree, Noah Dobson does have to work on things. But considering he had a 70-point season the year before, you can't give up Noah Dobson for anything less. So really, I think this is where this is important, is the numbers didn't absolutely skyrocket. So realistically, the situation is either the Islanders trade Dobson, they sign him, or in a situation where he does sign an offer sheet, it would likely be the 2 firsts, 1 second, and 1 third. If it would somehow be the 4 first-round picks, I think the Islanders would be absolutely ecstatic. Can't see a team signing him for that much, but who knows? He is a right-handed defenseman. He is rare. Where it gets really interesting is Romanov, as we talked about, could also potentially field some offer sheets. And I really wonder if a team goes up to the first and third round pick compensation for a player like Romanov. I mean, I still think the Islanders match in that range, and I don't think a team goes any higher than that. Although, with the dividing by 5, it could be a case where it slips into that first, second, and third round compensation. In that case, I think the Islanders probably would have to let it go just because it'd be such a rich contract. That'd be really interesting to see. But really, I think the candidate Islanders do have to be aware of, and the new GM is definitely going to have to take steps to prevent, is a situation with Noah Dobson in an offer sheet. It could get a little tricky. This is definitely the best case scenario for the New York Islanders. There was some talk when this was first happening, especially considering that the salary cap is going to be going up so much in the next few seasons that these numbers could skyrocket, and that could really hurt a team like the Islanders, especially when it comes to trying to make a trade for Noah Dobson. Because if you're a team and you can see, and the Islanders are asking for, say, 2 first-round picks for Noah Dobson, and you can see you can offer sheet him for a first and a third, that makes it difficult for the Islanders. At the very least, the compensation has kept it at a level where the Islanders are still going to be in good ground for Noah Dobson. Let me know in the comments what you think the Islanders should do with Noah Dobson. I'm personally of the opinion, I know I'm not completely in the majority here, but I personally think the Islanders should try to sign Noah Dobson, perhaps for a bridge deal. I think a deal around 7.5 times 4 could work really good for both sides, where the Islanders get a couple years out of it, but they're not giving a long-term contract to Noah Dobson. Although I also would be okay with the Islanders giving him, say, $7 million times 8 years, or even 8 times 8 if that's what's going to take to keep him in New York. But I'd love to know your thoughts on the comments below. I always love to engage with you guys on the comments. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Patrick Nilan. This is Islanders Digest. Let's go Islanders.